and welcome to another Cars.co.za video review. I'm David Taylor, and today we have the Volvo ES90 sedan. And why does it matter? Because the price of petrol and diesel is too damn high, that's why. Anyways, I'm calm, this is fine, it will be fine, I promise. And before we get into product intricacies and why this car is actually really cool, let me just remind you that Cars.co.za has over 74,000 new and used vehicles available. I'm sure most of them are fuel efficient as well, because this price is driving me mad. Okay, Carl, hurry up, the meter's running.
Do you wanna be a Lani in a Porsche or Ferrari? Do you wanna be J-Kutata? How's about the vroot?
I'm going to start this video review on a sour note because this potentially could be one of Volvo SA's poor decisions. I'm not going to say worst because that's a bit catastrophic, but if you look at the market right now, when last did you see a premium sedan, guys? Audi A6, Merc E-Class, BMW 5 Series, these are not common sights on the road. And it's easy to understand why, because everyone's gone upwards into SUVs. So launching a sedan in 2026? That seems a bit brave. I'm gonna try sugarcoat it a bit. And then we've got the whole electric car discussion. And yes, I know the recent petrol price is hurting a lot. So electric cars maybe have a chance. But if you look at the sales figures from the past year, electric cars have stagnated. I think there's a much bigger rush towards plug-in hybrids, but I think we're seeing the market shift from the excited early adopters to a more pragmatic, realistic approach. And then we can just touch on the topic of electric car depreciation, because on some of the vehicles we've seen over the years, the depreciation is terrifying. So for this Volvo ES90 electric sedan to survive, it has to be good. And the good news is it's more than good. It's actually really decent. Right, so what is a Volvo ES90? Let me talk about the design for a second, because this thing looks really cool. And yes, I've spoken about sedans, but if you look carefully from certain angles, it's not quite a full-on sedan. Yes, it's got every conceivable Volvo design element thrown on it, like the Thor's headlights and the big wheels, but look carefully and you'll notice that it's not like a traditional sedan where you're sitting low down. I'm actually seated quite high up, and the fact that this car's got an off-road mode, see, I'm not going crazy, you actually are quite high up on the air suspension. So it's also, from the rear, it's got like a fastback design, so it's not your traditional boot, it's more like a extended hatchback. I think for what it's worth, it's really good looking, and I suppose the paint is really also helping. So what has Volvo South Africa launched into our market? ES90 overseas, I was reading the international press release. You can get an assortment, you can get 3 battery sizes, you can get twin motor, ultra and performance models. But I think Volvo South Africa has done the right thing here, because yes, going really fast in an electric car is awesome, but for me, the real world hits and it's all about the range. So Volvo South Africa has kept things really simple. There's a single motor setup driving the rear wheels. It's not the fastest thing around, but it doesn't have to be. In terms of performance, 245 kilowatts, 480 newton meters, single motor on the rear wheels, automatic transmission. It is fast enough. Volvo claims 0 to 100 in 6.6, and Sean was with me during the testing. It ran exactly that, 6.66. I don't think you need to go much faster than that. This is fast enough. And as per Volvo's safety rule, top speed is limited to 180 km an hour. Guys, that is fast enough. No one needs to exceed the speed limit, unless of course you're driving on the Autobahn. But I do like the overtaking ability. Instant torque, that's always very nice. Right, under the skin, there's Volvo's SPA2 architecture. That was the one that was underpinning the Volvo EX90, the big 3-row SUV. There's a 92 kilowatt hour battery, and Volvo claims a range of 755 kilometers based on the WLTP. And for me, the L in WLTP stands for lies, because this is totally and utterly unrealistic. I mean, I charged this car this morning, I got up to 95%, and it was showing 500 Ks to empty. So if you drive really slowly and really efficiently, and you don't drive on highways where wind resistance really eats into the battery, You may get 650, 600, but in the real world, mixed use, a couple of quick overtakes here and there, I think 450, 500, 550 is your accurate range figure. One of the cool things about the 800 volt architecture on SBA2 is it can take some serious power. 350 kilowatt charging. Now, unfortunately, South Africa doesn't quite have that sort of capacity yet. And when I use my metric of 10% battery to 80%, I generally find my nearest, which is a 75 kilowatt, and I can get 10 to 80% in about 55 minutes to an hour. And I think this is about fair. If you have access to a 150 kilowatt charger, well, quickly pop into the shops, get the bread, get the milk, and the car should be pretty much done. That being said, while I've touched on the ambitious range claim, I think it's worth mentioning the efficiencies here. So having driven pretty much every electric car on sale in South Africa today, I work on around efficiency of about 15 kilowatt hours per 100. Now, if I open up the range and trip, I'm quite happy to report that I'm averaging 13, 14 kilowatt hours per 100, and we've done 130 kilometers today, and Sean and I, we've been driving around for 2 hours, 52 minutes. 14 kilowatt hours per 100 for something that weighs this much and is quite nippy. I think that's really impressive. And I think the secret here is the aerodynamics, because yes, it weighs 2.5 tons thereabouts. I think it slips through the air really efficiently. I think the drag coefficient is really low. One of the things about the Volvo ES90 is this key. I mean, like, I'm actually terrified of losing this thing. It's got no buttons on it. It's all proximity related. I'm sure there's an app you can use to connect the car if you do decide to buy one, but keeping this here, don't want to lose it. I also appreciate the simplicity of the car. You literally get in, seatbelt on, foot on the brake, knock the gear stick into drive, car fires up, and you're good to go. It's quite unnerving how easy it is to just get in and go. And there's no gimmicks of like fake noises. It's just eerily quiet. This Ultra trim level, this is the flagship, also comes with air suspension. So when it comes to ride quality and handling, like on real perfect roads like we're on now, this car floats around beautifully. It is genuinely one of the more relaxed cruisers out there. I feel like I don't have to put effort in, and it's just so quiet, so refined. All I can hear right now is our massage chairs going, because it's been a long working week and Sean and I have needed our massage chairs going. One of the downsides of the Ultra trim level is these large wheels, and granted, they are gorgeous. These things are so pretty, but we live in South Africa. Reality is a horrible thing, and we have those things called potholes. Now, the vehicle doesn't come with a spare wheel. You get a tire repair kit, but I wish these wheels were a little bit smaller with a higher profile tire. But I'm really nitpicking here because the rest of the package, the ride quality in particular, is so good. It's so comfortable. Another thing I don't really like, but I suppose this is because we drive a lot of things that are marketed as sporty, the steering is not set up for sporty engaging driving. Although if you want to toss one of these 2.4 electric sedans into a corner, it'll oblige, and it's actually quite entertaining. But I can't see Volvo customers, conservative, smart people, wanting to give cars the shenanigans around bends, although it's quite fun. An interesting thing I've picked up as well with this Volvo ES90. Now, Volvo has been making cars for lots and lots of years, so you'd think that they would have gotten this right. But I've had to fold the middle seat down in the back there because the headrest blocks the rear view windscreen. So yes, I've got a mirror here, and the rear windscreen is not exactly the biggest, so I'm having to rely on the side mirrors for rearward visibility. But I just feel like that's a bit of a mistake. So why would you have a 3-row bench with a headrest that obscures the rearward visibility? That's a bit strange for me, but folded it down, so now it's a 2+2. If I was to summarize the ES90 driving experience, it would be comfort and refinement. It's genuinely impressive how quiet and relaxing this experience is. And remember, as I've mentioned, there's no petrol engine or diesel engine here to mask road noises. So pretty much we're hearing what's going on outside. And truth be told, there isn't much. Remember, there's no internal combustion engine, which comes with its own noises, and you can usually hide tire and wind noise with that. But in an electric car, it's all about how quiet things are, and then you start to hear other things. And I would just like to say this ES90 is probably one of the more quieter vehicles I've ever driven. So if you pride comfort, quietness, and refinements in your premium sedan, this could be the car for you. Me, on the other hand, when you're blessed with a Bowers & Wilkins audio system complete with the Abbey Road app, I'm afraid we have to play all the music, and Coachella Music Festival live sets have just been released. So if you don't mind, that's more like it. Okay, enough doof music and enjoying myself. Let's look at the rest of the interior. The ES90 has got that typical Scandinavian minimalist approach. So I have a steering wheel, a narrow instrument cluster, and a big infotainment screen. But it's worth mentioning that Volvo's parent company is Geely, one of the bigger Chinese conglomerates. So it's inevitable that design elements from the parent company are going to drip down. That being said, any accusations of cheap and nasty can be tossed right out the window because the materials used here are really nice. I've got these nice wooden inlays. These are classy. Everything looks and feels solid. The stitching on the seats, for example, is top notch. One of the biggest bones of contention for me and this car is this infotainment screen. And yes, it's really nice, it works well, great graphics, responsive, and so on. But Volvo has gone into the full trap of putting each and every single function integrated in the touchscreen. In fact, the only buttons I can see here is this really classy volume controller that's got like a crystal effect on it, and I can change tracks. Everything else you'd ever need in a car, okay, hooters were there. Everything else though is in the screen. So things like, you want to adjust the steering? Nope, no switch there, screen. You want to adjust your side mirrors when you're setting up the car for the first time? Screen. You want to open up the glove box? Screen. Why have we done this? That being said, when you actually look past the ergonomics and user functionality or lack thereof, and you dive into the system itself, it's actually a really good system. And the biggest realization I've had with all of these modern infotainment systems is if you treat these things like tablets or smartphones and you use that operation mindset, things become a lot easier. So it's a Google-based system. It runs Google Automotive, which is different from Android Automotive, and you get all your Google services here. You get Google Maps integrated. I've got Waze, I've got YouTube Music, and everything you would need right here. You can even sign into YouTube and watch YouTube movies while you charge. There's games as well, Google Assistant plugged in, there's Apple CarPlay. Yeah, pretty impressive. Of course, all of the apps, like I can see here, I've got Prime Video, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube Music. These require data. Now, Volvo's done a very clever thing here, and one of its deal sweeteners for the purchase of this car is you get 3 years worth of data. So we've got a dongle hooked up into the rear power socket, and this gives us data so we can use these services. So what's the point of having Google Maps if you can't actually use the full functionalities such as live traffic and so on? It's fair to assume that because we're testing the flagship model, the entry level, the core derivative as it's known, will come with nothing. And this is not the case. Even if you don't dig deep and go for the flagship model, you get the basics covered. Heated seats, you get this nice pano roof, for example. But in my opinion, I think it's worth digging deep and going for the flagship models, because I think if you're in for a penny, in for a pound, if that makes sense. Like, you're already paying for a premium offering, you may as well go all in, and you're going to be rewarded. At just under 1.8 million rand, yes, I know it's a lot, but this is a premium, borderline luxurious product. Massage seats, guys, don't underestimate how much a massage seat is good. Like, I can have wave patterns. Oh, right, there we go. There's heated seats all around. There's ventilated seats all around. I have a digital head-up display. I've got all the tech I'd ever need. And the highlight, I mean, yes, it's an electric car and meant for comfort and refined cruising. This Bowers & Wilkins audio system is one of the finest setups. I also think one of the best reasons to go higher up a trim level instead of sticking with the core model is it introduces all the semi-autonomous safety tech that Volvo is renowned for. So things like your pilot assist, which is basically your assisted driving. So simply you knock the gear shift down into drive. When you're ready on a highway or in congestion, you knock it into drive again, and the car will stay within its lanes and it will follow the car in front. So there's no chance of you rear-ending someone. Yes, you've got to keep your hands on your steering wheel, but I find like sitting in those congested areas, you can relax a bit more and know that the car is not going to go crazy or you're not going to drive into anything. Right, rear seats of the Volvo ES90. Now you'd think with a wheelbase of over 3,100 millimeters, there'd be so much room for activities, but something was bugging us and we couldn't quite put our fingers on it. And then we realized it's the floor. The floor is slightly too high. So as you can probably see, I don't look the most comfortable. I actually am, and I've got the functionality of, I can recline the seats a bit. That's quite nice. And I've got plenty of headroom and the ambience is great because of this pano roof, but it just looks a bit awkward. And then I've already touched on the lack of rearward space, so I have to drop this down. So there we go. Oh, this is nice. Little cup holder with a wooden finish. Okay, it's better, but it's just, this needs to be like 10 centimeters lower for that ultimate comfort. Or here's an idea, Volvo EX90, the bigger SUV version. But I digress. Let's look at the rest of the comfort features here. I've got twin USB-Cs, great for charging those devices. I've got little aircon vents that I can adjust and like blow that one at the top and that one at my feet. I've got heated seats, I've got ventilated seats, and I've got my own climate control. So this person can sit at 25 and I will get 17. Okay, I'm ready for a road trip. In terms of boot space and practicality, let's have a look at the ES90's boot space. Up she goes. Now I may have mentioned that this is a fastback, sportback, hatchback design. So it's not your conventional boot. This goes all the way through, so if you've got longer items, it makes practicality a lot easier. However, because of the angle of the boot, you can put cooler boxes here and then the lid won't quite close. But let me show you how. Will it work? See, doesn't quite work. Instead, your larger items you need to then toss into the back. With over 440 liters, it's 1, 2, 3, I reckon there's 4 cooler boxes. You could probably squeeze in 6. There's our internet dongle using the power supply, and you don't get a spare. Instead, you get a tire repair kit, and we're using this space to store our charging cables. And like most EVs, there's a storage area in the front of the car, or as Chiro calls it, the fruit, the front boot. The Volvo ES90 rivals, let's keep it short and simple. There's just 2 of them from Germany, BMW i5 and the Mercedes-Benz EQE. Now you can use the Cars.co.za comparison tool and see how these stack up. I'll put these in the description below, nice little link to the comparison tool. And you can see that the Volvo ES90 has impressively long range claim, which we've already addressed, but I'd also like to point out that it's priced quite similarly. And remember that the Germans will start charging for all the luxury features. So if you want heated steering and ventilated seats for everyone, you will have to pay extra. When you're going for the Ultra flagship, which is my choice, go all in, you want all the best, you want all the toys. I think in comparison to its rivals, Volvo ES90 has the jump on them. And let me just remind you that Volvo SA has put in those little deal sweeteners, little happiness packages, incentives to buy this car, if you will. We've already mentioned the 3-year data plan, and I'm going to talk about the best one at the end of the video. Summary, verdicts, and some final thoughts. Now, having attended the international launch of the EX90, now that vehicle was fraught with bugs and gremlins. And it was such a pity because the on-paper specs were so promising, but it needed frantic over-the-air updates, and it just wasn't quite right. And hopefully by now, touch wood, it is all sorted. So now it's super refreshing to get into the ES90, and it feels like the brief has been ticked right from the get-go. This is a very resolved, polished product. It has all the conceivable gadgets and gizmos and convenience features you'd need at a competitive price. Personally, I suggest going for the flagship model, but please get a smaller tire with a higher profile just for that additional peace of mind. And your back will thank you because it'll just be an even more comfortable and relaxing ride. I do feel Volvo has made something quite special, unique, and genuinely a good car. But right now it's up to the market to see if there's appetite for this sort of thing. As I've mentioned, you don't see sedans on the road that often, particularly premium sedans. And as we know, electric cars are still, people aren't sold yet. Pricing, you can get into a Volvo ES90 from just under 1.6 million, and you can top things out with the Ultra at 1.8 million. There is a 5-year 100,000k maintenance plan and a warranty, plus an additional 8-year warranty for the battery. I think that's really good. Right, those deal sweeteners, here we go. So I've already mentioned the 3 years worth of data. You also get 2 years of free public charging on the Grid Cars network. And speaking of Grid Cars will also come to your house and install a home charger. Of course, you can plug it in at the wall on a 3-prong, but you'll be waiting like 17 hours for this thing to charge from 10%. So the Grid Cars little wall box, it ups it up to, I think, 7 kilowatts, so your charging times will be reduced. So essentially, come home, plug the car in overnight on your little wall box, and you wake up in the morning and you've got all the range that you need. And that's it. That's the end of the Volvo ES90 review. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, I think this is a super impressive car. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or you think it's just a complete waste of time, or you'd rather get a plug-in hybrid. You let me know. I enjoyed reading those comments. And guys, if you want to start a new energy vehicle purchase journey, or you just want to buy a new or used car, Cars.co.za is a great place to start that journey. Right now, we've got over 74,000 vehicles. Okay, I've got 70% and 360 kilometers. Sure, let's go driving. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.